Howdy, y'all. This is Matt from That Time We Woke Up in a Podcast and Had to Explain Manga. Our heated adventures overanalyzing manga we find interesting. I'm representing the great planet Texas as we dive into America's birthday yet again. We're reading only the most American of manga, Eagle, the Making of an Asian American President by Kaiji Kawaguchi. This go around, we're reading Volume 4, where the Yamaoka campaign competes in the Democratic primary and faces off against the greatest political enemies the American democracy has ever known. Happy birthday, America. Enjoy the episode.
My fellow Americans, welcome back to the Over Manga Cast. My name is Sam, and as always, here at the top of the show, we talk about our familiarity with the franchise we read this week. But if you are a true red-blooded American like we are, then you know that every 4th of July, we read Eagle, the Making of an Asian American President, and at no other time, because it is the most American tradition we have on this podcast.
Did you not hear? Did you not hear the clapping? Did
you not hear the Eagle screech in the back? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Did you not hear the Blue Angels taking off behind us?
Editing Sam in the future. Make it happen.
God damn it.
This will be copyright claimed on YouTube.
Oh, we're off to a great start. Somehow the manga is even more unhinged than this.
Well,
it's glorious.
Glorious. It was because last time we read, which I think we skimmed over this, none of us have read this since then because as far as I can tell, we're the only people who have ever read this.
It's quite a shame too. We need more people on this.
I don't know, because if other people have read this, why are they not just constantly talking about it?
How has this not completely dominated all media conversation for the past 20 years? But last time, we ended with Maria Estefano about to have her press conference where she's going to be like, yes, Yamaoka is the baby daddy, and he is, in fact, Rachel's biological father, as well as her adoptive father.
Collective gasp.
Collective gasp. This will ruin his campaign. It also means that our main character, Takeshi Joe, has been screwing his sister the entire time.
Well, for what we know, is it happened maybe at least once, but...
Mm-hmm. It was strongly implied to be happening regularly. They got a sex motel together. Like, that's not...
They got a fancy sex motel.
That's not first date material, guys.
No. You definitely don't wake up butt-ass naked to greet downtown San Francisco.
She stood artistically naked
gloriously
in front
framed, yes.
on a balcony.
By the open window.
And then proceeded to have sex with him over that balcony.
God, I love this manga.
I know. Also, spoiler alert, you can tell how that's resolved because this isn't an episode of Cis Confidential.
Which is kind of what we expected, but still.
But again, it is confirmed in the strangest way because Joe is down in the parking garage wrestling with what he's going to do because he's like, I need to talk to her like in private. It's the only way I'm going to be able to maybe get something honest out of her. I can't really trust the press conference. There's too many variables in play, but how am I going to convince her to come and talk to me? And as luck would have it, we don't know the origins of this, but a mysterious force, two completely unassuming mall cops pass a pair of speech checks, one of them sending Maria's publicist to go talk with the network on a different floor, and another one saying, well, ma'am, if you follow me, I can take you to a special room where you can touch up your makeup.
Uh-huh.
And Maria says, I see nothing at all suspicious about this. I will follow you immediately.
Little do we know that she is being kidnapped by two armed men.
Yeah, because as the...
Haha, don't most men have two arms?
This one specifically is holding a Smith & Wesson.
God damn it, stop.
I thought that was my Second Amendment right.
It's my Second Amendment right to hold people hostage in an elevator.
God bless America.
Jay, you get one more terrible pun and then you're off the podcast.
No, we just got her back.
That's what she spent her time off doing, training in the pun mines of Albuquerque.
You guys see what I have to put up with?
Anyway, Joe commits a hit and run.
Okay, the way that this was framed, I deadass thought that he just vehicular manslaughtered one of those men.
One of the mall cops.
The only reason he didn't kill anyone was being very lucky. Like,
both of the guys happened to notice and jump in the correct direction. He also, because Maria was in between them and they leapt in opposite directions, somehow he didn't hit her either.
Yeah, she seemed to have been ejected by the power of plot contrivance out of the way of the speeding car.
you say plot contrivance. I've got a theory.
I'm curious to hear this theory.
Mm-hmm.
But
We'll
he says, come with me if you want to live. Pulls her into the car and peels out. The mall cop kidnappers wisely decide not to start shooting because this has already gotten Grand Theft Auto enough. We don't need to bring down the entire Secret Service on this place. Actually, he's not the candidate. He doesn't have a Secret Service detail, but the entire Miami PD at least. Rescue has happened. Yes. Daring investigative journalist Takeshi Joe, also master of driving.
Mm-hmm. And because we're in Miami and you need to hide from armed individuals, they drive to the beach.
Mm-hmm. They drive through the shockingly empty Miami streets to the beach.
As you do.
Oh, and we get a quiet one-on-one conversation between Maria and Joe.
Which, because it's Eagle, is hilariously downplayed how cool she is with having just had her life been threatened. Like,
yeah.
Well, anyway, I gotta get back to do my press conference.
You just got kidnapped. I'm not driving you there. I'll hail a taxi. You're really just gonna get in a strange vehicle. What part of nearly kidnapped did you miss?
Nearly kidnapped? She was literally kidnapped. It was just not by the people originally taking her.
And I love how essentially what Joe uses his "I just rescued you from being kidnapped" coupon on is, hey, I'm going to interview you, but I'm going to only ask questions that are completely meaningless and give me almost no information.
Master investigative journalist.
I'm also going to tell you how much my mom loved me and how you must be a really shitty mom for giving up your daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no other way to characterize that exchange. And she very much understands the message he's trying to convey. This is straightforward, to the point.
Anyway, I'm gonna go get my money.
Yeah.
Yamaoka didn't care about me. He just did his business and left. So then what? You didn't keep a hold of your child? What, was I going to have her stay with me on welfare in the middle of Miami or go to live with this rich family? Obviously, it was the better decision for her. Yeah, well, my mother was poor and kept me, so suck it.
She kept me because I was the child of the man she loved. And I'm like, you're really doing a 180 from thinking he murdered your mom.
He really is.
Well, that's not what we need for the scene.
He's gotten some closure on that, but like not enough to have this opinion.
Well, especially when you consider the fact that on the way to this suspiciously empty beach, he's thinking about the fact that he has suspicions that Yamaoka killed his mom and might be the one who attempted the kidnapping in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And need I remind you, it has been a year for you, dear listeners, but in universe, this is the same day where he had his breakdown in the bathroom, realizing that, oh God, I've been screwing my sister.
Where he smeared blood on his face for some inexplicable reason.
He called Yamaoka, who only vague posted around it, while sounding like a Bond supervillain.
Joe, that's weird. Where you stick your dick in is your business. Not really any of mine.
maybe you should find your own answers, my son.
Then weird lightning strikes in the background, even though there's absolutely not a cloud in the sky.
Takeshi, I am your father.
I sure hope you haven't been getting to know any other family members in the biblical sense. Why are you saying this?
You're the one.
It's almost as if you're talking in a way that is the most dramatic way conceivable from an audience's perspective.
Well, you're the one who sounds post-coital and is having a moral crisis, so I can only assume.
So anyway, we hop back to Joe after he's telling a woman that giving up your child for adoption is a moral failing and you're a terrible human being. It's because you didn't love enough.
It's...
That's the moral this is going with.
It is. Can't even lie about that.
One thing that is very true about Eagle is that it lives in a very idealized world.
Mm.
That's not to say that it is a flawless world, but it is a world heavily focused on ideals.
Also, to be fair, Joe is the only one with this opinion, because when it later comes up with the rest of the... Well, we can just get there.
Press.
Yeah,
because she immediately goes back to the press conference. That's what's insane about this. He saves her life from being kidnapped, drives to an empty Miami beach in the beginning of summer, which is insane.
Mm-hmm.
And then just essentially she goes, well, take me back. You've not given me any information. Could you just confirm that Yamaoka is Rachel's dad? And she goes, of course he is. I'm leaving now. I'm going to get a cab. Cab, take me to the Palace Hotel. And then she's just immediately back at the Palace Hotel.
with absolutely no problems or concerns in getting there. How about that?
Doesn't care that people tried to kidnap her at the hotel.
She was at gunpoint 5 minutes ago, nearly got run over 5 minutes ago, and actually got kidnapped 3 minutes ago.
Yeah, that's just what happens when you live in the big city. Maybe you're not hard enough for it. Anyway, somebody get me another cigarette.
You don't care. You don't understand. I'm from the slums of the Cuban section of Miami. There's nothing but gang crimes and murders everywhere. This is the 80s. It's 1999. This is the 80s.
I have declared.
Haven't you seen my jawline? It's obviously the 80s.
Have you not seen all the coke we're doing off screen?
But she goes to the press conference. She says that, yes, Yamaoka is the father. We have several great reaction cuts. With first Noah's team being like, hell yeah, we got him. Adios, Yamaoka, we win. The Yamaoka team, they're all freaked out except for Tuck, who's never been freaked out by anything. So he just casually says, nah, we're screwed.
Well, that kind of sucks. Anyway.
Mm-hmm. I bet they're busting out the champagne, the virgin champagne, because they're a bunch of pussies.
I will admit it's taken me this long to realize that Noah is just Al Gore, but the non-alcoholic champagne line going like, wait a second. And then I'm like, oh, wait, no. And then the character we get introduced later makes it very clear. Noah's just Al Gore.
Yeah.
So
I can't wait till we get to the characters we're introduced to later, but we're not there yet.
But we have two pivotal moments in the press conference because she starts taking questions and or statements, and one of them is from Rachel, who, in an act of saintly forgiveness, says that I hold no ill will towards you, mother. If I had not been born of you, then I would never be alive to experience the joys of being Yamaoka's daughter. And all of the great opportunities given to me. I could not have had all these wonderful things if I had not been born first by you. So thank you, Mother. I love you so much.
In fact, if I had to pick, I love you more than my birth family because I have no I am obligated to. It's phrased so weirdly. It's just like, Yes, my adopted family gave me a lot to do, and I'm very thankful to them. But you gave me the gift of life, and thus everything I feel with that life is thanks to you. It's almost like a very biblical interpretation of love. Like,
Yeah, like that's why I say it's like saintly, because it's just so.
also, you act like this is a press conference that's happening simultaneous, or no, it happened earlier.
Yeah, it's a recording of another press conference.
But someone decides to go,
To
excuse
play
me,
it in the
Maria,
middle of
have you seen this video? And then shows you the video. And I'm just like, the people running this press conference have to be so pissed off. Because first off, this guy brings up a tape that's not hooked up to anything. So she's just responding to a question on video that no one can see.
Uh-huh.
And then she's just like, oh, well, I don't know how to respond to that. They basically want to get her off the stage because she's faltering, and they're like, okay, we got what we wanted from her. Let's just have her go. And they're like, Maria, look us in the eyes when you answer our questions. They're like, she can't handle. She's not a politician. She can't handle being grilled, is what's happening here. And
yeah.
She's also remembering the conversation she had with Joe, going like, oh no, he's right. I don't love my daughter. Not like his mother loved him.
Filial love, the obligations of parenthood. Oh no!
If only I could love my family members like that young Joe loves his sister. Wait.
Oh, wait a minute. But then speaking of Joe.
Yeah, he's driving down the highway like, well, no point in staying here anymore. How am I going to explain this to the boss? Slams on brakes on the mysteriously empty Miami freeway. Wait a minute, I ain't no... I'm going to that press conference right now. And then he barges in and says, I have Senator Yamaoka on the phone right now.
My favorite part about this is the press conference is declared over, and there is a hush in the crowd, which is not how press conferences end. Like, it is very noisy as people are all trying to get the last word in. But luckily, Joe breaks through the door going like, I've got Yamaoka on the phone. I've got a cell phone. And then everyone just watches as Maria takes a phone call from the man she's accusing. Like,
of being the baby daddy. She's silent for several minutes as Yamaoka is like, hey,
gives a speech.
Listen, I'm so sorry that your pride felt that you felt like your pride was impugned upon by me giving you money for the adoption of Rachel. But just so you know, I never intended to hurt your pride. We had every intention of being completely forthright and honest with Rachel about her origins, if she were asked. And we would never hold secrets here in the Yamaoka family at all.
I also love how at no point does he say he didn't have sex with her.
He does not.
It's strongly implied they were boning.
Yes.
Yep. Look, I gave you a small loan of $10,000 to make that dream come true.
It's luckily this is on a phone call to her and to no one else, because he essentially just goes, yeah, that $10,000 I gave you wasn't a bribe. It was because I hate only one thing in this world, and that's poverty.
Poverty. In bold print.
The only thing I hate is poverty.
It's a line that's so ridiculous it could only come from Eagle, but it's essentially like if you've ever seen Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog, like I forget what the hammer's name is, but like Nathan Fillion's character has like a press conference at the beginning. He's just like, and he's reading off cue cards. Like, I hate the homeless. This problem in our fair city.
But the press corps does not hear any of this. They are all breathlessly waiting as Yamaoka is talking to her. And Maria just hesitantly goes, you don't hate me? The only thing I hate is poverty.
Click.
But
the press
I'm
corps
poor, not with $10,000, baby. That's why every time I hire a prostitute, I give her 10 grand so I'm not having sex with the poor.
Oh
Yeah, not gonna lie, I honestly went to a darker place.
Go on.
What?
Go on.
What if the $10,000 wasn't just, to bring her income up? It was for her to
Take care of the problem.
Yes.
Well, it was paid to adopt Rachel. is the thing.
Yeah.
Like that is pretty clear. It
That's
is
pretty clear now. I can't.
It was not clear to her at the moment either. Is the thing. Like,
I just think like I had an extra dip of tension there. One that was like Rachel was never supposed to be around at all.
oh yeah, no.
I think
the timeline doesn't line up for that.
I think if there
But
had,
like
that could have
it's
been
framed like it could have been that is the thing.
I think if there had been an arc about Yamaoka arguing for abortion rights to a bunch of people in Texas.
Look, I want to know where she's buying a $10,000 abortion in Miami in the 90s. Like, she is grossly overpaying.
No, but I mean like to not only have it done, but to like not talk about it.
Yeah. Cover costs and then the hush money. Yeah,
it is hush money. No matter what he says, it's hush money. Like,
at the end of the day, though, I don't know. There's something amusing to me of that big line of the only thing I despise is poverty. Click.
The only thing I hate is poverty. I'm getting rid of the poor's one $10,000 donation at a time.
Just the fact that he immediately hangs up at the end of that with no response is just so amusing to me.
I love her takeaway from him saying that is, he does love me.
Yeah.
Like, girl, you are on something really special.
So she goes back to the podium and she says, I've lied. Rachel's biological father is my late husband, Jose. So if anyone was having weird incestuous drama, they can rest assured.
We resolved that 3 chapters into the volume, even though it was what was being set up for the entire previous reading. That's a choice. And then the other thing that it didn't occur to me right away, but like we, the audience, heard Yamaoka's entire speech to Maria. The press conference didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yamaoka called her, and suddenly, nervously, she says, I was lying. None of the things I said were true. Did he just threaten her?
No, it's 100%. She admitted she's been bribed by him before. Then she takes a phone call and rescinds all statements she's ever made. Like,
I did not have sexual relations with that man.
I love that we later get confirmed that quote happened in this universe already. So this is just her referencing that.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
God, I love this manga.
Oh, it's great. So I do want to say I think either Jacob or Sam, you mentioned this earlier. I am almost 100% sure the thugs who were going to kidnap Maria were just hired by Yamaoka. Like,
Oh yeah.
Especially because they do just immediately give up the second he knows Joe's waiting to get her alone. They take her to the parking garage level that Joe is on. That, like, it's just perfectly placed up. Now, he crashes his car into them, but like that's a lot of things could have happened that could have gotten him alone with her. Like, it's set up so that she falls into Joe's lap. Joe talks to her.
It's one of those ones where it's like Joe acted a little bit sooner than expected, but the guy with the gun was going to mysteriously drop it in a second or something like that. Like,
or they were going to turn away and she'd make a break for it, and Joe's in front of her and wants to speak with her. And then that gets her in a certain frame of mind. And we've had established that Yamaoka has like weird psychic powers. No, he's a Death Note character, essentially. Like, he just knows how people are going to react perfectly. And like,
the number of rational agents in this manga anyway, that does kind of track.
It sets him up perfectly to have sown doubt in her head. And then Joe is the one who is called by Yamaoka to solve his problem, which is weird because Yamaoka keeps telling Joe he's there to be an impartial observer, and Joe keeps throwing that to the wayside to interfere.
To interfere on Yamaoka's behalf. The amount of times that he has just openly helped this campaign.
If I was Joe's boss back in Japan, I would be very upset because my reporter is making national news. Like, my foreign reporter is making national news in a US president, like in an election. This is insane. Really, I'm surprised Noah doesn't go, hey, he's got a Japanese reporter following him around who works for a foreign government, is a full Japanese citizen, and is
Sounds like Japan's trying to take over the mainland again.
again. They only got to Hawaii last time. We're not going to make that mistake twice.
Oh.
I guess technically they made it to Seattle, but that's a different story entirely. That was not a successful landing.
That's also the last chapter of this book.
They're still mad about that, I guess.
I guess. But it's so weird because, yeah, this is obviously he was like threatening and bribing her over the phone. It's like, remember the promise you made or whatever. But then Maria and Joe have a second heartfelt conversation on the beach.
They meet on the empty Miami beach pier at night. No one goes on Miami beach piers at night. Like,
yeah, but they have to have a dramatic conversation to assure the audience that this plot line is over now.
And Joe hasn't been committing cis confidential. It's fine.
Committing cis confidential. Yes, we made it happen, folks.
The greatest of all the crimes.
And again, the weird sort of like, or Joe, he says, the entire country is going to drag you for this now because of this. Like, stirring up this whole kerfuffle and then rescinding it at the last moment. You are going to be a pariah forevermore. And she's like, yeah, well, I sinned. I earned the punishment.
That's a pretty big 180 on your character.
Very Catholic of her, I guess.
No, she's 100% like, I am a Hispanic woman in Miami. The mainstream press will not be able to pick me out of a lineup.
That's depressingly accurate.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I take it back. The Miami local news will be able to find her. It's mainstream America will not.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So now that the Maria arc is over, we need
to get to crazier nonsense.
We have to get to crazier nonsense, which is opened with one of the main staffers of Noah's campaign contemplating suicide by gun.
Like, it's literally a full opening of him finding out that Maria's story is basically gone. Because if I remember correctly, he's the one who found her and got her to tell her story. So he's like, my ploy failed. So he's just like, yep, nope, we're definitely still in the race. Because Noah's campaign is still ahead. Oh, wait, no. This begins with
a news report saying that Yamaoka is only 9 points behind Noah.
Yeah.
The gap is distinctly closing at this point.
They are now tied, with it looking really bad because it means Woodchuck or
Rufus.
Rufus is
the other candidate.
Factor.
Yeah, because he's going to drop out and he's going to give his delegates to somebody. And it's either going to be to Noah to secure everything or to Yamaoka and make it a fight at the convention.
So anyway, this staffer of Noah's essentially has a long thing where he's just looking at that news report, opens up the drawer on his desk to reveal a gun, holds the gun as if he's going to and gulps as if he's making a decision in his mind. And then the door opens.
He apologizes to his family.
Yes.
Oh, looking at a picture of his wife and son.
And then, because this is Eagle, we get the other Noah staffer who are the two heads of his campaign comes in, is just like, well, you failed, but everyone fails. And we don't get to quit until Noah tells us we can quit. You wouldn't quit on the campaign, would you? You're not given permission to quit.
You're not letting the boss down, are you, David?
Well, I'm going to go do something else in the other room. And because it's Eagle, it's the most, hey, you're not allowed to kill yourself. But I'm not clear of this character. It's so weird. I don't know if this character knows this guy was going to shoot himself or not.
I don't think so, because he's sort of portrayed as the plucky, bright-eyed ideal. Well, they're all plucky, bright-eyed idealists, but him more so than a lot of the other characters, more so than the character to whom he's speaking. And it just happens to be exactly what the downtrodden guy needs to hear. How about that? Because Eagle. Because Eagle does not care about verisimilitude. It does not care about willing suspension of disbelief. It cares about drama.
He cares about the big drama.
Eagle looks like someone watched The West Wing and was like, that's what American political debates are like, right? Oh, but yeah, and then he slams the drawer shut and goes, damn it. Like, don't worry, bud. I'm sure you'll do great when we find out what happens with Noah's campaign later.
He continues to appear in the background.
Yeah, he does.
Maybe he's just a ghost haunting Noah.
Honestly, I wouldn't put it past Eagle. Turns out, somehow Joe has been a ghost the entire time, and he died when his mom did or something.
Maybe.
Rachel having all that good ghost sex.
Oh my god.
And I'd be really surprised if a ghost stopped Maria from confessing by like the cell phone floating in.
That's really what everybody was surprised at the press conference for the floating cell phone.
And his spectral voice saying, I have Yamaoka on the line.
Or jumping ahead a bit, some old news reporter having just a frank discussion about race relations in the U.S. with an empty table.
That's normal, right?
I mean, you're not wrong. We'll get there. I don't want to jump ahead because we get the greatest plot twist this manga has thrown. Because so far, as I said earlier, it took me this long to realize that Noah was just Al Gore, but like he's different enough that like the names are switched, everything's kept kind of vague. He doesn't look that much like Al Gore. He's kind of similar. And it's like, okay,
he's too square jaw Superman, but like everyone's square jaw Superman.
Yeah, like Tuck is also another person who existed in real life, and it's just like, but he's vague enough that he could be a fake character. And then we just get introduced to Bill Clinton.
It is just Bill Clinton.
They call him Bill. They never say his last name.
He's got the...
You know the one. Bill.
It's just him. Freaking Quill Benton over here.
I wonder if it took this long to get to the point going like, so we're not going to name names, right? That'd be ridiculous. And then they got to like volume 3 and just finally said, hey, I don't know if we can just make up a fake president. I think people are going to know.
Hint, hint. I think they're going to figure it out.
But
how could they? Everything has been so accurate to the American political system with no discrepancies whatsoever.
Well, except how much freedom they give to Scorps.
It's true.
We don't tolerate Scorps over here.
Hey, I edit this show. I can silence you whenever I want. I'm the press.
Sounds like a Scorp to me.
I am the press. I have all the power.
Scorp over there is censoring the truth.
So, Bill goes up to Noah and is like, hey man, I know you're having a bit of a rough time with your whole sex scandal thing not working out. I know how sex scandals work all the time.
If you know what I mean.
Hint, hint, wink, wink.
One of us.
You can play a fun drinking game with how many times does Bill or another character who will be named later allude to the Monica Lewinsky scandal, because it happens frequently.
Hey, Al, let me just give you some advice. By the way, do you want to make that big announcement tomorrow? I'm sure it'll go over great with the press corps and get your name back in the running. Hey, let's go to the office. You mean that office, sir? And big dramatic White House or Oval Office 2-page spread. I love when this manga just glorifies in like set pieces. Just like skylines of cities or like major buildings or just the Oval Office.
I mean, I that is one of the things I genuinely love about Eagle so much is how it kind of mythologizes modern American politics. I say modern, but this is 25 years ago. So
yeah. 25 years ago, it's still got some parallels. There's a thing that happens later. A few things.
Yes.
2000 was 20 years ago.
All I'm saying is username Patriot Missile sending email subject wanted for treason to Yamaoka. Really felt like 2016 all over again.
It really did.
We'll get there. We need to get to the plot point of all time.
The first lady.
Yeah, because I know what you're thinking.
Bill has a suggestion for Al Noah's running mate.
You should have one of them there ladies that people would be all over. What do you think? Having a woman as a vice president? What a novel thing.
It definitely energized the women vote and help us help bring out the young voters, and it do a lot to help our base in your campaigin. And
what a brand new tactic we're just inventing that definitely won't be used by basically every political campaign moving forward.
I don't know what impression I'm doing right now. I don't have a good Bill Clinton impression.
I also am doing just a vague Southern accent, despite the fact that is not Bill Clinton.
At one point, I'm either going to delve into Obama or W, and that's not helpful at all. That's too far in the future. But it says, well, you know what, a female VP, that would be very interesting. Do you have anybody in mind? Well, it just so happens I do. My wife, Ellery!
Ellery!
Mic drop.
Ellery Clinton!
I am genuinely surprised the go menacing symbols aren't all over this character constantly.
Well, don't worry. At this point, you're not supposed to be aware she's a villain.
I just gotta say, I might be telling on myself a bit. I was at work reading this particular segment of the manga because it was slow. I out loud gasped, and my colleague on the voice call was like, Sam, are you okay?
No, I'm not okay.
I'm not okay. Hillary Clinton is in my manga.
This is a thing that happens. And it only gets wackier from here. Because we get the whole thing now is Al Noah is like, oh, I will just be a puppet.
I'm not gonna be a puppet of the Clintons for another 8 years.
I served an evil master so that they could only put back the yoke of his female wife.
I served as your vice president for 8 years, Bill. I'm not going to let you keep those strings on me.
I've got no strings to hold me down, to make me smile, to make me frown.
Oh. Yeah, he turns down the offer, and drama ensues.
He turns down the offer, and then the thing you expect happens, because we cut to Yamaoka Page turn, Yamaoka HQ, a staffer coming up saying, sir, the president's on the phone.
What do you mean the president's on the phone?
Hey, Kenneth, you picked a running mate yet?
I have a suggestion. And then, the really fun thing is, obviously, it's the same proposal, and Yamaoka is like, Mr. President, I would be glad to accept. My immediate reaction is, he is going to screw these people over somehow. I don't know how, I don't know what he's going to do, but this is not going to happen.
Because if 4 volumes of this manga have taught me anything, it's that Yamaoka's favorite thing to do is to do the thing that seems like the worst decision possible, or the thing that would weaken him somehow, or just the thing that's slightly suboptimal. And then he'll do it and somehow be like, aha, it was actually a reverse Uno the entire time. I did the smartest thing, and now I will win.
I was playing 5D chess with multi-dimensional time travel whilst you were playing checkers.
4 parallel universes ahead of you. Anyway, yeah, my wife will be over to the White House at 8 tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening. Bye.
Now we need to have Ellery's villain arc.
Well, obviously, because it's too soon for Yamaoka to meet with the president. But, hey, didn't our wives go to the same school? I mean,
yes,
you also went to Yale.
We all met up there.
Character points that out.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's Patricia that points it out, actually.
Patricia's like, I don't want to meet with this crazy woman.
Yes, that was very glaring.
Kenneth, I really do you really think this is a good idea? Yes.
I don't care if you're uncomfortable. Do what I want without any explanation. Okay.
He really does act like an Old Testament god. I have the proper course of action already planned out. Simply do my will, and it will work.
I mean, at one point I thought that she also was like, no, because Ellery was like literally her college bully or something. I mean, they look about the same age, right?
No, she's significantly, she's a good chunk older.
Ellery to Patricia, that is.
Yeah. The way that the manga art style is it's hard to tell age, because the most that you get of Ellery being older is that she has laugh lines, and that's it.
Which means in manga ages, she's like millions of years older.
Yeah. She's basically a fossil.
I don't know why this tickled me so much, but we have Patricia arriving at the White House. They're walking down the halls. We get a panel each for Washington and Lincoln, their portraits up on the walls.
Their smug aura mocks me.
They look like the portraits in a Scooby-Doo episode that the villain watches through the aisles. Like, Washington has the most bombastic side eye. I don't understand. We have the conversation of all time between these two women.
It is definitely a conversation. It might be two conversations they're having at each other.
I think that's really it, because Patricia is trying to be very diplomatic, very reserved. She's like, oh, yes, I'd heard so much about what you did at Yale by the time that I arrived. I really looked up to you. You seemed to be such a potent figure. And
my political ambitions cannot be quenched.
Hey, have you ever wondered how we're just arm candy for our husbands? But I have goals beyond him. I don't care if he sleeps around. I'm sure you're aware of that too with your husband's little indiscretions. And Patricia's just like, that's not really our deal, but keep talking, I guess.
That I would love to join the vaunted ranks of the first ladies in their many programs to help America. That's all bullshit. Those are vaporous things that fade away as soon as the administration is over. When have you last heard of a First Ladies program holding any weight? No, I want to make change. I want power.
When have you ever seen a First Lady do something like end cyberbullying?
I want change. I want to have power. I revel in the nature of politics, its inherent eroticism and brutality.
I was about to say, this page.
I love
really,
this page.
I just need to read this quote because it is just the side view of Hillary Clinton as Patricia looks on with horror at whatever creature is supposed to be the First Lady.
The like wide-eyed stare into the night
that has revealed itself to be a monster wearing human skin. It's erotic, bestial. It doesn't think twice to crush human beings. I thrive on its brutality.
She's talking about politics.
Yes. It doesn't matter if my husband is horny for other women because I'm horny for politics.
And cuts to...
I love the page turn to her having to calm herself with a glass of water while talking to Kenneth. Like, and then she just went on a long tirade while looking out to DC at night, going how she was just in love with the erotic, animalistic brutality of politics. This was not a conversation to have on a first meeting. I was scared, Kenneth. I was scared.
I distinctly do not like this person and want to never be in the same room as her again.
Kenneth, please. Kenneth, I mean this in the nicest way possible. You threw me to the wolves.
And then
She is the one in charge here. Bill is throwing you to her ambition as meat for her feast. You need to know what you're doing. I think you should really consider withdrawing.
Ah, yes. I always knew Hillary Clinton was evil, which is the moral stance of this manga.
Yep. Anyway, I'm gonna make her my running mate. Kenneth.
Or is he? Or is he?
Or is he?
He never commits to anything. He's always got to be 1,000 gajillion steps ahead of everyone.
This man is 4 parallel universes ahead of us. Because we know that, like, tacitly accepting Ellery as the running mate gets Bill's considerable political support thrown behind you, as evidenced by next morning's news, with Rufus going on national news too. In my, I freaking love. I have decided to withdraw from the presidential primaries. And I will be. It's just going all. I do declare I will be giving all my delegates to Senator Kenneth Yamaoka.
Yamaoka is actually what it is in the manga.
Yeah, and I was just like, this sounds delicious. Whatever this dish is.
And Noah punching his desk, going, Kenneth, you whore. Bill turned around and gave the same offer to you, and you just lapped it up. Then I guess the Clintons go to fuck on the last page.
That is strongly implied what happens.
Your bidding has been done, my master.
Oh, yeah, honey. I got you that vice president. I was a good president, right? And she's like, good boy. You're my little puppet. I get to have sex with another intern, right? Again, not Bill Clinton's voice at all.
But it is funny.
We have Arthur. This is my favorite, like, I don't know if it's a running gag or just an inherent theme, but it's like Arthur thinks he's got a handle on what's happening for the campaign, and then Yamaoka just does something that completely unseats his grip on reality, and Yamaoka is correct.
I just love how Yamaoka is presumably paying an entire staff of people salaries to...
as a smokescreen for his shenanigans.
To not do anything, presumably, because he always does the right thing, like...
against their wishes and without their knowledge.
Which is insane, because we know they need fundraising. That was the entire point. Their entire campaign is running on a shoestring budget, because Yamaoka keeps torpedoing every sponsor they could possibly have.
And both Arthur and Tuck are like, okay, we know that Ellery is a supervillain. She's going to entirely overtake this campaign. You are no longer the candidate. She is. What are you going to do about that?
I'm going to commemorate a library.
Well, better wear my nice black tuxedo to this library commemoration. Which, conveniently, this library is also a long, well-decorated hallway that ends right by a podium next to a stained glass window. This children's library looks a lot like a church.
Isn't something? Oh, wow! Madam First Lady, you happen to show up with your Secret Service detail carrying a big bouquet of flowers,
walking down an aisle between all of the reporters. Boy, this metaphor seems really heavy-handed. Cut to newspaper, a bouquet, and a proposal, question mark?
I love the dialogue they have when they get up there, because it's neither of them saying they're going to be running mates. So the dialogue just comes off stilted as if they had just had sex the previous night and were like, hey, weird running into you today. I thought we weren't going to call.
Damn.
Not calling if I run into you at your place of work. Oh.
You know, honestly, the look on Patricia's face fits with that interpretation to a large degree.
It does.
She has the look that she always has on her face whenever Yamaoka being too close with other women has come up in the past. What do you mean Takeshi Joe might be my husband's bastard child?
What do you mean my husband was having sex with Maria? I thought we were just adopting her child.
That's the crazy thing. Every time Yamaoka is on page, he is a perfectly omniscient, rational actor. Every time he's not on page, he is a horn dog driven by his penis and his penis alone.
No, he's a perfectly rational person who had sex with those women so that when he ran for president, they'd have some minor dirt on him that he could then clean up, going like, well, at least I wasn't in a position of power over her. You gave her $10,000 to uplift her out of poverty. That's the definition of having power over her. Shut up.
Shut up. That plot line is over 3 chapters into this volume.
Shut up. I hate poverty.
Writing decisions were made.
So, hey, Noah, considering the fact that Bill appears to have entirely abandoned you in every way, shape, and form as a serious political actor in this race for the presidency, what are you going to do? You should probably just, resign from your position as the vice president and try to distance yourself as much as possible, because really you just seem like you're riding the coattails of power here, and I've already written up my resignation letter. And now I'm going to
dramatically rip it in front of all of you, at which point I'm like, oh, okay, Noah's going to be Yamaoka's running mate. Got it.
Uh-huh. Yeah. This man, he's willingly taking the most terrible humiliation of his life, and yet he's still fighting on. I would follow you even unto death, my captain, my king.
He does something dramatic that doesn't make a lot of sense, but is, in this case, because it's purely about politics, noble. And it's like, okay, they're setting up direct parallels between Noah and Yamaoka. Okay, I see where this is going.
Everybody in this is the most noble, pure-hearted, chivalrous. I have sworn an oath to you. I will die by your side no matter what.
But with just enough of a mysterious backstory to be like, but were they though?
Uh-huh. And I love it. Anyway, let's go to Chicago. It's time for the Democratic National Convention. Well, before we get to the main event, Joe has to go to a bar with a bunch of other reporters.
Yeah, they go to the lore location.
We go to the Billy Goat, which is the bar in Chicago, obviously, that, Sam, you'd know this, all the Scorps hang out.
Yes, it's just a den of us Scorps there. It's neutral ground between the Chicago Sun-Times and the Chicago Tribune. And there's a whole bunch of other
Japanese reporters sitting having lunch, and they essentially go, yeah, this is where all of the reporters meet. They swap stories because as long as it's not an exclusive, all reporters are after the truth, which bold claim, but Scorp's gonna Scorp.
We live in an idealized world.
This is the world of rational agents and Superman jawlines.
And the Japanese reporters are all just vibing because they're like, cool, yeah, it's been a hard time. And I love how
that picture up there. There's a picture of a person up there. We're gonna move on now.
That's a really famous reporter. We're gonna name his name. I do want to point out they're in a bar. Except everyone seems to be drinking out of fast food drink containers.
Uh-huh.
And I was so confused. They're branded the Billy Goat Tavern. And I'm like, that's not the kind of thing that would serve that.
They're treating it very much like a
McDonald's almost?
Like a McDonald's, yeah.
Well, that's how all food is served in America, right?
Or a Primanti Bros. Considering all the pictures on the wall.
But yeah, McDonald's or McDonald's is how all food is served in America, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm going to rescind my statement. I just looked it up. This is a very real place that looks identical to how they displayed it. So,
truth is stranger than fiction, ladies and gentlemen.
It is called the Billy Goat Tavern, and it's got the same sign, but if you look at the establishment on the inside, it's a diner. That's so weird. Okay.
All right. I guess they did do their homework.
Yes. See, look up there at that picture. That man with the beautiful mustache is Walter Grobnik. He's one of the most famous reporters here in America. And it'd be quite something to have him show up. He's been a political writer for years. And oh hey, look at that, Mr. Grobnik. So nice to meet you. As he walks up and
He
says,
appears like a phantom.
Hey, how you doing, kids? I'm gonna need to talk with Takeshi Joe right here.
"You're that Joe fella that Yamaoka's got, huh?"
Hey, can I have a second of your time? I don't know why I'm making this Chicago reporter sound like a New Yorker. That's oh, we're gonna have to have a word with yous.
And then the strangest conversation happens.
He specifically goes out of his way to talk with Takeshi Joe. He acts like he's going to ask him questions about the Yamaoka campaign. He's like, so you're writing a book on him? And Joe immediately cuts him off with, yeah, but that's all under like
NDA.
NDA. I forgot what the journalism term for it. It's confidential.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, until the campaign is over.
Yeah. So essentially he goes, well, I'm not going to get any information from you. How about I just monologue about race relations in the US? We sure like our minorities here. We love them so much, but the American people, they're not too keen on them minorities being president, you know. They're perfectly fine with having them there, and they love their taco trucks, and they love having them in there. They love Japanese food. They love sushi. But if those people, they could be senator. But if they want to be president, I think that might be a bridge too far. I'm just saying, you don't see any Jew presidents. I'm just saying,
Eisenhower was the
Was
funniest
the weirdest
sounding
name. Yeah.
we've
That
ever
was
gotten in the
wild.
White House.
which really, reading in 2024 is, man, if only they had a funnier name than Eisenhower. But then he goes, I'm just saying, we've only had one non-white president, and you know what they did to him? Pow! And I'm like, is he talking about JFK being the only non-white president? Oh, he's Catholic. Okay. I see what they mean.
Look, all I'm saying is he's got a real uphill battle. Sure would be politically disadvantageous if he just so happened to have a running mate that was that happened to be another politically restricted class in America, like, say, a woman.
Yeah, the closest he comes to actually doing the thing he implied he was going to do is ask why Yamaoka is working with Ellery, and Joe puts up a token resistance of not answering his questions, and then we get this monologue.
Yep.
The fact that he doesn't seem to want any answers from Joe, because he doesn't push it all. He just goes, well, let me monologue about race relations in the US. And then, because Yamaoka is psychic, I can only assume, we cut to his side of the story, which is him in a completely different room where he just goes, yeah, you know what they say about minority candidates in the US? They'd never want one of them to be president. Why? The US only had one minority candidate before, and that person was shot in a little town called Dallas. My good friend JFK. And I'm like,
coming with
why-
JFK.
Why do they keep calling JFK a minority candidate? I get where they're coming from, but it's just so weird.
It's like many things with Eagle, where it's like, there is technically a level of truth here, but it's so clearly written from the perspective of an outsider, it's just wrong.
Yes. It's like you keep saying minority, and you're not wrong, but wrong.
I'm just like, someone outside of like a great grandparent at this point would not call Catholics a minority.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they are technically, that's not what that word means politically.
Which is funny because I mean, like, there is also like a sort of like, it's warped by how wacky this goddamn manga is, but there is sort of like a weird truth to, like, you know, it like there is like a barrier of, because this is before Obama was elected, and that was actually a legitimate concern at the time, you know, and you know, reality didn't pan out the way the manga keeps implying it will, but
I don't know. Did Obama have Yamaoka's psychic powers? That's all I'm saying.
Look, I've listened to Fox News occasionally. I have been told, yes, he does have psychic powers, and he is to blame for everything that has gone wrong. Including the current presidency, actually, is also Obama's fault.
Somehow. Actually, the current president is was Obama's VP, so
He is Obama's fault.
it is Obama's fault.
The current president is Al Noah.
The current president is editing Sam in the future. Edit whoever wins. Keep editing this episode every 4 years. Until you die.
No!
For all time.
You're the one who has to keep re-uploading it.
Crap.
I see no problem here.
And with that, I think we're going to take a brief break before the convention begins.
Where nothing silly will happen.
Nothing silly at all. We'll be right back after this.
Ugh.
I'm so pissed off to find out the Billy Goat Tavern is literally just a McDonald's. Like,
And welcome back to the show, folks, where last we left the candidates. They had just arrived in Chicago for the Democratic National Convention, where the candidate will be decided, and for once, it's actually a close race. No clear frontrunner. Yamaoka, Noah, it's down to the superdelegates. What will happen in the Windy City? But first, Ellery needs to do some more bullshit.
Ellery needs to continue being a supervillain.
We have the first inklings of how Yamaoka is going to like turn the power play on her by anticipating her showing up at
And distinctly dodging naming her as a running mate unofficially.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she has so much gall to just push ahead, despite you've never, seriously forced a verbal commitment.
well, it's really cool because the way he dodges the question is done in just such a way that makes it sound to Ellery like he's being modest and not doing it so that she can pump him up as like a good running mate. So it feels like he's setting her up to like support him and like lift him up as if she is the power player and gives her all the power, which is exactly what she wants to feel, but he doesn't say anything.
Uh-huh.
He doesn't commit to a thing.
The level of coy is perfect.
I can't tell if he's like, just such a master politician. She's actually bested Ellery because she's the one who thinks she's a master politician. And she doesn't even realize it until it's too late.
She doesn't even know. We have more just glamour shots of American cities. I love this shot of Chicago's skyline. Mm-hmm. It's not even the skyline. It's just a glamour shot of the United Center and the surrounding cityscape, and then the parking lot full of turn of the century news vans with their satellites. Something very nostalgic about that. I liked it.
The classic Scorp transport device.
Hey.
Got to report back with those satellites to their alien masters.
The moon. Look, how else am I going to report the information necessary back for the lunar civil war?
Man, I wish how beautiful the moon was didn't come up later.
Otherwise, we'll never win the Polar Cola Wars.
That's the real foreign policy.
While you were in Vietnam, I was fighting in the Polar Cola Wars on the moon.
I love the series of panels all showing shots of the various people and groups that Yamaoka has interacted with on the path here.
I forgot he had interacted with most of them until we got to Planet Texas, and I'm like, oh, yep.
All the men in the 10-gallon hats.
I love how the head of their whole party is just holding like a bottle of Jack Daniels to the camera as if he's doing an ad spot.
The entire time.
God bless Planet Texas.
God bless Planet Texas. And then the cheesiest, just delicious, I eat it up, scenery chewing bullshit that I've ever seen in a manga, where it's like, all right, so we have to go and call all the delegations of all 50 states to come forth and declare their delegates. And we're doing it in alphabetical order with Illinois going last because they're the ones hosting the convention. All right, let's begin. Alabama. Well, they're all like gassing themselves up, saying like we're the great state of such and such place and the thing where this happened, and we're gonna give 1,000 votes to Noah and 12 votes to Yamaoka. Generalizing, it looks like Noah's getting a good lead, and then.
It's basically replaying the entire rest of the manga over again.
Except we get Bill and Hillary sitting in the audience with their villain commentary. You don't understand. Yamaoka's votes lie in his home state of New York. Of Washington. His home state of Washington. New York is also going to give him delegates, but...
Yeah. Once we reach the East Coast, it's all over, baby.
And then you're on your way to be president. I mean, vice president. Up until someone JFKs him. When will the Clintons stop?
I've never felt more like an InfoWars contributor than when I was the outline for this episode, and I wrote the line "puppet for the Clintons."
I do want to point out. It is weird that we had two separate characters bring up that minority presidents get JFK'd, and then the Clintons also bring it up in their gloating about Hillary will be president one day. Just a weird thing to talk about.
It sure is. But then, as the delegates are starting to roll in, Yamaoka walks out of the hotel room that they've got. And then we cut to Noah's campaign where a guy runs up with a cell phone. Sir, it's no. Who? Cut to the Sears Tower at the
dramatic silhouette.
Dramatic silhouette of the Sears Tower as we go to like the 150th, and it's just Noah walking towards the ominous shadow in the distance.
Oh, and this is specifically where we get Yamaoka's I'm gonna get JFK'd at some point. Okay, I think we belabored this point at this point.
And this is so stupid, but I love it because Noah and Yamaoka are alone essentially in a room, and they are starting to like debate their merits as candidates and as politicians. And why are you running? Do you have the heart for it, Noah? Do you know what it's like to be a boot on the ground getting shot at? No, you're just a man signing off an order in a comfy command office. You don't know what it's like to send men to die. I have the heart, Yamaoka. You can't claim that I don't. You don't know me. And as Yamaoka is clearly winning this debate, he's getting more and more delegates. As it's intercut with the stadium.
We get Texas's votes cast, and we get another shot of Planet Texas.
I love how every other state is depicted reasonably, and then Texas, yeehaw! Woo-hoo, we're a bunch of stereotypes. Pew pew pew.
From the Big Bend to the Big Thicket, Brownsville to Baja, Oklahoma, the state of Texas is giving 37 votes to Noah and 195 to Yamaoka.
And there's that Jack Daniels again.
And the whole bar going, yeah! The bar full of Texans, he convinced that gun control was a good idea too.
I forgot that was what he did. I forgot Planet Texas was more than just the cowboys going to eat beans, the most Texas cowboy of foods.
Even the guy from the delegation in Chicago has a 10-gallon hat on,
and all the Texans in the background have 10-gallon hats.
He's got a tie with snakes on it.
As you do.
Anyway, Yamaoka wins.
And Noah essentially goes, well, I'm not going to stay here to watch you gloat, and turns away just as they start reading. The candidates have both given me sealed envelopes to announce their vice president picks. we're going to destroy Noah's because it's no longer necessary, and we're going to open Yamaoka. I would like to announce Yamaoka's vice president, who is, and then Hillary and Bill are both like, yes, we're going to stand up. It's like, to be Noah. What?
Albert Noah Jr.
Oh.
How say the delegates? And silence across the whole stadium before a mighty
It's way too fast.
Ellery's thunderous expression of rage.
Oh.
Noah was they're alone on this nosebleed high floor of the Sears Tower, but they had the TV on in the background with the announcement. So Noah was mid dramatically walking away when it happened. So he freezes, and Yamaoka's like,
they're standing dramatically. They're standing dramatically back to back with their hands in their pockets, like they're about to have a Old West showdown.
How about we talk a little more, running mate?
No. Oh, well, I can do nothing to stop you, I guess.
I'm Yamaoka. I already have 6 different contingencies for how you reacted.
But that is essentially what happens is we get the chapter break on, let's talk more, running mate. And then the next chapter is immediately no one's going like, you didn't consult me on this. This is dumb. I'm not playing your games. I'm done. Oh, well, you could do the thing that hurts me the most and just not give a speech tomorrow. But I didn't know you were chicken says what? What? Aha! Damn it.
Son of a bitch.
I'm going to fly home to DC.
And then
he flies home to Alexandria, which is not quite DC, but close enough.
Yeah. The other sort of fun bit that, like, this is the thing that I took away from all of the like mentions of JFK. Yamaoka basically says, "Hey Al, someone's probably going to shoot me before my term is up. You being vice president again means you're going to be president probably." Which, like, that's an insane thing to say.
It is, you're right, and I forgot.
It's just internalizing all of the from earlier.
You know how this country hates minorities, right? They killed their only other minority president. Stop saying that about JFK.
You think they're really going to let a Japanese man like me in the White House? No.
So when someone shoots me, you'll be president. It's ultimately what he's saying.
Which Noah responds to with, "That's insane, I'm leaving."
As you should, honestly.
Which is the most normal thing in this entire manga.
The most normally said thing, yeah.
The least normal thing is that the flight from Chicago to DC doesn't get him back until like 6 in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Nah, see, my favorite part is how the Clintons exit this manga with Ellery storming out, slapping Bill, and walking away.
That's such a good panel.
It's so... That whole page is magnificent.
The Sith Lords have been defeated and will now slink away.
Into the shadows. Oh, but yeah.
I love the ridiculous stances this manga just makes hard and fast. It's just like, okay, so adoption means you didn't love the child enough, and the Clintons are objectively evil.
God,
this manga is something else.
Okay. So basically, Noah flies back home without telling. He tells his campaign staff, but basically just abandons everyone because what has to happen is tomorrow morning. They say morning. It's probably not actually considering the timeline of how everything works out. But tomorrow, the vice president is expected to give a speech confirming their candidacy so they can be approved by the delegates.
Mm-hmm.
And he essentially flies home to Alexandria to tell his dad, who was a retired politician, that he's planning to retire. And his dad then takes him on a walk to his old high school where he remembers when he had just failed.
His dad had failed to be elected a senator, and Al was giving a speech for his first political thing of being class president.
I was about to say, it's insane that his father had enough time to go to a class president speech. Like, why are parents here at all is actually a better question. Like, this is not...
Yeah, that's...
And Al, son, you inspired me to continue my political ambitions.
By the way, I decided to give you back this medal of yours that I've been holding on to. It was the prize you won in that speech long ago. I've held it every time I've been on the Senate floor as good luck to remind myself that I could be half the man you are. Welp, I'm handing this back to you now, and I've just been holding on to it this day, even though I didn't know I'd meet you on the walk with the dog. I'm gonna go home to tell that lazy mother of yours to get started on the food so you can have a good old breakfast.
Okay,
Yeehaw!
so am I the only one who got the impression that the last scene of this would be them going to a graveyard to meet the mother until the getting dinner ready was mentioned?
That was definitely the vibe.
Yes, it was 100% the vibe of like, your mother wanted you to be president.
Rest her soul. I'm going to go tell her to put the soup on.
Why didn't you win, boy?
My crazy conspiracy theory is that Yamaoka has some kind of dirt on Noah Sr. because the fact he had that medal to give to him because Noah does not join his father for breakfast. He flies straight back to Chicago after this meeting.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very cute dog, though.
It is.
Good dog.
Just insane to me that he just leaves his elderly father. We went home to tell his wife, make sure you set another plate. Our son's come home on an impromptu visit and he's hungry. And his breakfast just gets cold.
Oh.
I sure hope Junior's okay. I hope he remembers how to get home from his old school.
Well, we had a emotionally and politically important conversation in the bleachers of his old school. So he probably screwed off back to Chicago to continue to do some dramatic bullshit. You know how the boy is. Anyway,
You old coot, you got me out of bed 2 hours early to make you breakfast for this?
well, now I got extra pancakes, woman.
I want a divorce. That's what we were going to talk to Noah about.
I just... Okay, getting
Where
back
was
to,
that scene? That scene would have made the manga even better.
Getting back to the actual manga for a second. God, I love the page of Noah looking down at the freaking podium on the on the stand, and him like walking down from the bleachers to go over to it, and the sun shining through the windows, haloing him in light as he reaffirms his love for this nation and his belief that only through the passion of the people and their strength of will can we truly make a better America. You said earlier, Matt, about mythologizing the American political system. This is it.
I don't have power. The people are the ones who have the real power.
He's literally haloed in light. Like, come on.
I mean, considering the I am Christ who has come back to you not to lead you, but to show you the path to my father, is essentially his vice presidential acceptance speech. Because spoiler alert, he flies back to Chicago to accept the vice presidential nomination, and it's essentially going, yes, I'm serving the American people. I do the presidency is not a king. The president is not a king. We don't have an emperor in America. We are beholden to the will of the American electorate, and they have decided that Yamaoka shall be their next president, and with him, I shall be the next vice president.
Indeed. And
People have spoken.
Also, as you said before, Matt, the flight from Chicago to DC is apparently very, very long because he left in the middle of the night, showed up at the crack of dawn.
Well, it is because a lot of
It's not. It's an hour and a half.
No,
It's a very short flight.
No, isn't the issue apparently a lot of people stereotypically get stranded in Chicago for long periods of time, if the weather is bad at all?
Well, stranded in Chicago doesn't matter. It's he needs
It's
to
also
get
the
there.
height of summer.
There's a
True.
heat wave going on. Like,
I don't know.
Maybe it's the drive from the airport to the different locations or something. Whatever. It's
Getting from O'Hare to the United Center, the traffic is terrible.
yeah, that 15-minute taxi ride from Dulles to Alexandria is assuming he didn't fly into Reagan, the airport that would be even closer. But
It's like he gets back to Illinois and then he's got to get all the way to the United Center, and really the traffic is just terrible. You have a Secret Service detail. You can clear the road.
He literally just got lost. He literally just got lost in his hometown because it's been so long. That way he can dramatically arrive at the last minute.
Look, Noah seems like the kind of guy to get lost in the sauce. He shows back up for his VP speech, still haloed in light.
no, Noah lands in Chicago, realizes he should have ate breakfast with his parents, and because he only knows the only food he thinks you can get in Chicago is deep dish pizza, he ends up waiting like an hour and a half for breakfast. Because a deep dish pizza, once you order, if you get a good one, takes 45 minutes to cook, so you're there waiting for a bit.
That pie's got to bake.
Yep. And then it's a big meal, and you've got to have the stomach to eat all 50 steaks.
This manga is silly.
But he makes his big acceptance speech. He and Yamaoka trade thumbs up. And it looks like things are on track for the Yamaoka campaign. Surely no more off-the-wall, out-of-pocket shenanigans will happen now. Hey guys, let's talk about the military-industrial complex.
I do love the next chapter we get, which is just, hey, remember when we said we made an astronaut the Republican presidential candidate? Let's give him an entire chapter where he lands on the naval vessel that rescued him when he landed from his moon flight. That vessel is being retired, and all the Navy crewmen are just saluting him, going like, "You inspired me to be in the army, to be in the military, sir."
I can't wait to vote for you. Tell us, what was it like on the moon? Well, when I went there and I looked up and I saw the earth above me, I gazed upon our planet and I heard the voice of God telling me that I must protect this beautiful blue jewel in the void.
Sir, I wouldn't listen to voices that whispered to you once you are on the moon. That's not a good idea.
That sounds like oxygen deprivation, actually.
I mean, the thing that America gained from the moon mission was scientific knowledge, and also the revelations. We're skimming over that.
And then F-14s fly overhead.
Vote for me.
This like seems like it's a political commercial. It's so ridiculously patriotic.
It's so patriotic.
Though there is to a certain degree, it knows that, because the immediate next scene after that is like he's given a plaque from the carrier, and it cuts to him in a helicopter flying away from the ship, and it's like, well, got that bit of bullshit out of the way. What's next? Which seems to be every scene this guy is in. I'm glad we're not vilifying the political opponents. Then again, we did have Ellery last arc, so I don't know.
It's also so strange because like Yamaoka is so much the villain in the shadows that like his opponents have to be like openly malicious, because otherwise they're too much like him.
Oh.
I just love Grant being like, man, Noah, you sure are a bitch being held back a grade.
I mean, he's honest.
Oh, so anyway, someone's going to allow Yamaoka to talk, and that's...
It's a mistake.
Always a mistake.
Yeah.
So, full disclosure, we don't get the payoff for this in our reading. I think we're going to get light Yagami on this.
Because every other time that Yamaoka has done something so incredibly campaign-endingly stupid, it's actually been a 5D ultra
Xanatos
giga-brained Xanatos Gambit bullshit. Actually, this will make the true noble hearts of the American people reach out and take my hand into this new century as we set aside all of our gut emotional reactions and have a true, honest discussion about the state of our nation.
Like the rational agents that political entities are known to be.
That our entire population is.
I can feel we're going to have a lot to talk about what he does later. So let's skim through this a little bit. Because what happens is Grant decides he's going to play hardball. He lands a space shuttle onto the set of Congress, stands in front of the statue to him that is in front of the building, and goes, Yamaoka, coming into work. It's just us, 2 senators, not political aspirees like presidential candidates. Why don't you shake my hand in front of my statue?
I would be happy to, my colleague from across the aisle. Nothing would give me more pleasure than this frank and equal exchange between 2 peers.
You got a strong handshake, Yamaoka. I hope I see you at the Vietnam Memorial.
Yes, I would happily join you at the War Memorial.
You know, I was on the moon.
My favorite part is the setup for this, where Noah's like, okay, yeah, no, he's a Republican. He's basically already got the entire military defense industry on his side, and so he's going to get all that support and contracts and money. But I've got a few guys, and by a few I mean 2, who we could probably pin as your Secretary of Defense, and that could skim a little off the top from him, help get us a bit more of an advantage in the general election. So I'm going to talk to them. Don't do anything crazy. Yamaoka, I'm going to go to the Vietnam Vet Memorial Wall, and I'm going to say that the entire thing was a meaningless sham and a waste of blood and good men, and that it was an act of cruel barbarism by a country simply squabbling for power.
And comedically contrasted with not just Grant remembering all of the people he ever served with, except that they were specifically put there for him to study up on before he got there.
Sure was convenient they were all in the front ranks so he could walk up and say, "Hey, Jimmy, how's it going? You always gave me the weather reports before we set out. What's it looking like for November? It's looking like a victory for you, sir."
And it has to undercut the no, he doesn't actually remember them. He's actually part of his villain plan.
Wow, I can't believe he memorized all of that information overnight. That's why he's the best.
I will say, there is one line we skipped over that I really like when Yamaoka and Grant are meeting. He's just like, Grant's like, I was on the moon. And then Yamaoka goes, yeah, well, while you were wasting time on the moon, I was fighting for our country in Vietnam. Yeah, and then we cut back to him being asked about Nam. It's like, that was a pointless waste of human life by a greedy imperialist country vying for power. And then everyone at this war memorial just looks at him and is like holding back, beating the shit out of him.
That was a record scratch moment. And then he realized he fucked up. Or maybe he didn't care. I don't know.
It's honestly goddamn amazing he made it out of there alive.
And wow, the 2 candidates that Noah had set up tell the Yamaoka campaign to screw off. What a shock. I'm sitting here like, okay, what firebrand nut job has he planned to make his actual pick for Secretary of Defense?
Yeah, it's like everybody dislike that flashes on screen.
Oh, but you don't understand. As we get established during the campaign, this was Justice Keikaku. Because he said such an incredibly inflammatory thing, the Grant campaign has not been able to grasp a second of airways because they're violently in the lead with public opinion. Like, but they play it as just like any publicity is good publicity. Not like this.
Talk, buddy, come on.
It's called spin.
Spin.
It's like, Tuck, you can't say this after we have this scene of Grant giving a speech at a rally of 30,000 people chanting that he's the father of America.
He's like, the Grant campaign essentially goes, we don't need to advertise. They sunk their candidacy immediately.
Mhm.
Noah is even like, why did you ask me to be your VP if you were just going to torpedo? Oh, I'm not your opponent anymore. You need to stop sabotaging me.
I
That's a
love
direct
that
quote.
line.
But yeah, we move on to Yamaoka's pick, and it's so great because he's like, yeah, Noah, go talk to those people you want to be Secretary of Defense. Anyway, now that I've done this crazy shit, I'm gonna go to my actual pick for Secretary. Why did you tell him not to talk to those people? You knew this would happen. And the immediate thing that ends up happening as soon as he walks in the room is General Kerrigan, the guy he's going to see, makes him stand at attention, and Yamaoka's like, so does anyone complain about the military fatigues? Yeah, but I tell them they can fire me if they have a real problem with it. So they're staying on. It's like, okay, this guy was created to be Yamaoka's
Especially because he is the
special advisor on peacekeeping operations for the United Nations.
Yes.
As we cut to Fifth Avenue in Manhattan.
Mm-hmm. As you do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And essentially, Kerrigan tells him to pound sand as well.
Uh-huh.
Because he's Yamaoka very obviously is trying to guilt trip him, and Kerrigan is aware he's trying to guilt trip him. It's like,
Yep.
I remember when you were my commanding officer. The first day when I volunteered to be in Vietnam, you pushed me to the ground and you said, hey, kid, are you afraid? Never forget that fear. The people who get used to war are the people who die. I don't have room for more body bags, you worthless piece of scum. And he's still like, yeah, I treated you like garbage. I really don't understand why you hold me in such high regard. It's like, because I remember you on the last day of the war, and that's why I know you're such a good man. I saw you looking at all those caskets, and thankfully you were monologuing your internal thoughts out loud so I could overhear them. And you were saying,
crying dramatically.
I don't know what to tell all your mothers. Am I supposed to tell you you died honorably in battle? There is no honorable deaths. There's only moving forward.
I don't want to tell them that you died for nothing, but was this war so worthless?
And again, Kerrigan's answer is leave.
Leave. I don't want to associate with you.
You're a politician and politicians are assholes. Get out of my face.
I'm looking to have boots on the ground, which basically in the current political climate of like 1999, the only way I'm doing that is part of a UN peacekeeping mission. So
They would never.
Zach and Yamaoka's like, yes, you want boots on the ground so badly because that way you can pretend that you have control so that you can accept blame for the deaths of your men when truly you know in your heart it was the policymakers who caused such needless conflict.
I'm sorry, Yamaoka, not to cut you off. Could you shut up and leave like I told you to earlier?
Yes, we'll have an email discussion about it later. What?
Imagine if this was like on Twitter.
I'll slide into your DMs later.
I'm going to go
That's
hold
kind of what happened.
It is. I'm going to go hold a press conference where I'm ostensibly going to clarify my position. Look, I'm real sorry for how my comments came off the other day. I respect our troops. And I value the lives of our servicemen and women. And that's why I'm going to shut down every foreign base and never do intervention ever again as soon as I'm president.
That is definitely what he says.
And the reaction is also what you expect. This is the point where we get Tuck trying to spin the fact that everyone's talking about Yamaoka as being the good thing when everyone is talking about how they're definitely not voting for Yamaoka.
His plan for... This is 1999. Reading this in a post 9/11 world is insane because you're just like, yeah, so basically cut all foreign involvement, which presumably could have solved some problems, but then only focus on home defense. And then create the world's strongest military after we've shut down all our bases, because military strength has nothing to do with logistics?
And the world's strongest military is going to be the UN.
Yeah, that's what it
And
is.
my absolute favorite part of that is, and that's why I'm gonna need to be a 2-term president. Oh yeah, that's cute. Like you could do that in 8 years.
You guys are like, yeah, my 8-year plan. That's not happening. But here's the weird part. Because I think, if I understand this correctly, his plan is to close all the American bases abroad. He is then going to centralize the U.S. military in America.
Mm-hmm.
He no longer wants to be the police of the world. Instead, he wants the UN to have what Roosevelt originally envisioned for the League of Nations, which was to have military authority. And he wants to be the military branch of the UN.
Yeah.
So I want you to be clear. This Democratic presidential candidate has put forward a plan for American world domination.
I just find this, now that I'm thinking about it, as a very interesting thought experiment. From an outside perspective, this is how they perceive our involvement with the UN. That this could potentially happen, I guess. Or
I love how this just basically assumes that Russia is not a part of the UN.
Yeah.
Because essentially, like, America is subjecting itself to be the military arm of the UN, except I guess China and Russia are just cool with that.
I forget what the term is for the people with veto power, but
The Security Council?
yeah, the Security Council. 2 members of the UN Security Council aren't going to have anything to say about that.
Especially because his plan as president is to completely restructure the UN so that it acts more like the League of Nations, the notoriously failed concept.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's and because Yamaoka is the main character, and we're supposed to. Well, is Yamaoka or is it Joe? Whatever. The point is, we're supposed to be on Yamaoka's side. Is kind of the important thing. Like the thing that they have to.
I'm kind of thinking this is purposefully a horrible idea, because in our reading, no one seems to think this is a good idea. Hence why I said earlier, I'm waiting for the beginning of book 5 to be Yamaoka going like, haha, I just as Keikaku'd this whole plan.
Because the response from Grant is unfortunately something that does actually happen, of the sunk cost fallacy. The only thing America can do is double down.
There's so much more in between that than let's get rid of all of our bases.
Yeah, it's the only response to this insanity is basically milder insanity.
Yeah. We have.
This is also where we get the Father of America chants.
Yep.
But essentially, the Grant campaign, after Yamaoka doubled down on this, well, he didn't double down. He said, you know what? I was wrong. Vietnam wasn't a pointless war. All wars are pointless. That's why I want the UN to be the world peacekeeping organization with America as its sword. What?
There are so many reasons why this doesn't make sense.
I love how after he finishes his speech, we cut to the Yamaoka HQ. A phone rings, and the person on the other side says, "So, you finally revealed your new world order plans, you son of a bitch."
I hate that I'm on the side of the conspiracy theorist, because he literally describes American world domination. Is what being the military arm of the UN is, and giving the UN the power to be a world government that America is in control of enforcing. Like
the mangaka subscribes to a very particular line of political thought.
Like I can't remember. Was it like Zom 100 that had it was High School of the Dead had that like weird imperialism is good mindset that kind of just jumped out of nowhere and shocked me. This also kind of did it.
Yeah, that was High School of the Dead. And yet, the thing that we're focusing on is, wow, this sure is creating an uproar at Yamaoka HQ. Rachel, check the emails. Oh no, we've got 4,000 new messages. It's gonna crash the server.
Quick, get on the phone with AT&T. We need more bandwidth.
Somebody call Verizon. We need more phone lines.
Ugh, but yeah, and like essentially it's, hey, I don't care what they're saying. They're talking about us.
Okay, talk.
80+% of them are talking about how stupid of an idea this is, that it's completely insane, and the Yamaoka campaign is officially over.
Yeah.
But any press is good press.
And I think Patricia might have taken Ellery's comments about the inherent eroticism of politics to heart, because she goes and starts straddling Yamaoka in a chair while talking about how your passion has lit a fire across the world.
That's what I said.
I love how they've got foreign newspapers reporting on this, going like, insane thing. America declares they want a world government they enforce.
Well, they're not voting for us in November. Okay, Rachel.
I genuinely don't. I must be misunderstanding the manga, because the Yamaoka campaign keeps trying to portray this as lowering America's control over military prowess by like toning down their military. Well, it's because Yamaoka and Noah are saying separate things is the main problem I have. Because Yamaoka is saying we want to tone down the military and then be the military arm of the UN. And then we cut to Noah, who's talking with defense contractors, and he has to go like, whoa, where'd you get the big idea that we want the economy to go to shambles? We still want you to make guns and weapons and mercenaries. We just want you to sell them to the UN. Who
That will control.
I have a question, Noah. Who is the UN fighting? Well, they'll find wars.
Uh-huh.
Tell me you don't understand what. Oh my gosh.
I don't like the idea that what this creates is a UN with world government powers that then has a military industrial complex that needs it to find battles it can fight to keep the machine running.
Justify the military.
But because it's the UN and all like states are members, you essentially go, we can never fight against states, so we can only take out rebels.
Yes.
Oh no!
Yes.
Meanwhile, Noah ran on America is not an empire. You're right. The UN is the empire. America just sits on the throne.
It's just transference. Yeah. It's not me. It's them, obviously.
I also hate the fact that we hear that Yamaoka is doing well amongst college kids, and I'm like, I don't think they were listening.
No. Well, Yamaoka is doing well against college kids, but also the grant campaign is like, finally, we're bringing back the young Republican.
Yeah, because they're getting like laborers is essentially what it's like. All the people who work are essentially going, no.
I don't like any of this.
The bigger thing is what he essentially says is they're going to go through such an insane reduction in staff for the US military, which is traditionally considered to be very stable employment. I almost said safe. That's obviously life risks. But like you sign on for 4 years, and presumably if you have a career that extends to 20, and they would just gonna go, yeah, we don't need anybody anymore. You're all going to be mercenaries for the UN. Like, you're
That sounds stable.
Your plan is within 8 years to liquidate all the armed forces. Now, Yamaoka doesn't say this, but Noah says this. Are they trying to privatize this?
I guess.
Noah's conversation with the defense contractor seems to be the implication is to get the government out of the business of war, which is insane to me.
Just on its face, though. Just basically through the transference property. It's like, yeah, obviously we don't have any like defense holdings. Of course not. We're not responsible for that.
It's all the UN's fault. We just own the UN.
Hey, Matt talking to the listeners. I know occasionally I've said I don't like democracy because I don't think it's a really great system. You know who I don't want to be in charge of wars instead of democracy? Capitalism.
Yeah. 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 We're together on that one, buddy.
Honestly, as a capitalist, I don't want capitalism in control of wars either.
This is we are speed running cyberpunk right now.
I'm just for a Democratic presidential candidate to have the most authoritarian position possible is insane.
Uh-huh.
Is this before or after we get to the point where we actually get the general overview of Republicans and Democrats?
Nope.
This is after.
They do
So
feel
we
the need to
know.
explain.
We have an idea. We have been educated on the key differences between the parties.
Well, yeah, because what happens is General Kerrigan, for some reason, decides to join the Yamaoka campaign at that point, and then that's after that.
That does skim over the kind of fun bit where General Kerrigan had left Yamaoka, was just like, I told you to leave, went to his buddies in the Marine barracks, because apparently this guy just has some guys he hangs out with.
Mm-hmm.
And they all go, we hate politics. And he's just like, same shit, different pot. And then, got a phone call from Senator Grant. What's going on? Hey, unrelated to anything you just did today, you've been promoted to a 3-star general. Also, you said you wanted boots on the ground? I can put you in Bosnia.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like everything I've ever wanted. Yeah, that just means you can't accept any jobs that would start next year, but I'm sure you'd love it.
You know what? You do have a good point there, Senator. I'll think about it and I'll let you know. But I'll still put the extra star on my uniform so that all my boys will raise a toast and talk about how, man, that Yamaoka guy, what a fucking idiot. I thought I was going to vote for him so we'd have our first jarhead president, but nah, he's he's totally
He's
nuts.
a traitor.
The promotion was not tied to the. That's just a promotion. That's a separate thing
right.
entirely.
Yeah.
He's saying the promotion has been a long time coming. So essentially, what that means is he's been up for promotion and it needs to be reviewed by people. That review process probably just got fast tracked,
expedited, as to sweeten the deal of the job that he wants.
I love how he then goes home to his wife, who looks like his grandmother.
Yeah, I was confused about about who this person was for a long time too.
Because General Kerrigan looks way too young for how old he must be, because he looks basically identical to how he did in Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
They also mention, oh, you're still wearing your fatigues, eh? And I'm like, oh, did they just not update the character design to have him have casual clothes? Like,
Probably.
Also, his wife is just like so thirsty for him, and it's really funny because she comes in, it's just like, hey, I got a call from Senator Grant. He said we're going to be moving to Europe. That's pretty fun. By the way, I was going to rent this house out while we're gone so we don't have to sell it so we can come back here, because I'm just saying, once you're done with this 4-year tour of duty, once we're done with this 4-year tour of duty,
we're gonna have a 4-year tour of dirty.
Yeah, basically. No, she's got a great line. It's just like, hey, can't wait to say my bedtime prayers with you then. For you.
Wink, 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 wink.
You're gonna have me saying, oh God, all right. Also, I don't like the fatigues, but you can keep the combat boots in the house. And I'm like, what the hell?
That was weird. That
Keep the combat boots and don't shave that beard.
Don't shave the beard, put the combat boots on, but take off those fatigues. And I'm like, well, that's the opposite order you should be concerned. Well, oh no.
Yes, yes. She said what she said, Matt.
Also,
she knows what she wants.
Also bring up that beard is against protocol in the military unless he's got a like medical or religious exemption, in which case he wouldn't shave it off for his wife anyway. So like,
yeah, he's a general. They can just do shit, I guess.
Like they can. It looks bad, but
yep. We have we have he's like, yeah, all right, honey, I'll come to bed soon. I just need to finish up these reports and my other tab, which is for Yamaoka's campaign, so I could send an email.
Yeah, he needs to write a soliloquy.
He needs to lie to his wife essentially because he's like, "Yep, I'm excited to move. Now to just do the opposite."
Uh-huh. No, we have my favorite thing, which, like, yes, I want to reiterate, Yamaoka's position is insane. It's nutty, but also my favorite thing, reminding us that 2016 was not quite so unusual, where Yamaoka is looking at all the emails and he sees one that he locks in on because clearly it's from Kerrigan amidst all the slop, but some of the slop from Patriot Missile, wanted for treason, all cap.
Twitter wasn't even a thing yet.
It wasn't. Yeah, from, quote, an old LJG with just for the name of honor as the subject line. I still don't know what that war meant to me.
It's a soliloquy. He writes a soliloquy.
With Yamaoka's very serious, zoomed in face next to the black text. I love it.
Because you see, the two men are having a deep philosophical conversation across the country.
But because they are stoic men, they have to have perfectly schooled expressions, and they cannot say these emotions face to face or something. I don't know. I might be reading a bit too much into that, but either way.
My favorite thing is the next morning he gets dressed in a suit and his wife's just like, "Hey, I thought you didn't have to leave until tomorrow. I thought we had like the entire day together." "Nope, going to Washington." "Okay."
His poor long-suffering wife.
His poor long-suffering grandmother.
God damn it.
It has more implications than I could think of. Oh.
It's our duty to pay respects for the dead, but what does that mean when you were the one who witnessed a group of men reduced to meat and dust in a single shell burst? Would their souls cry out for their glory or for justice for what befell them?
You're right. We need an end to all wars. Well, time to empower the UN to make unilateral decisions for the world.
New World Order. Wait a minute.
Oh my God.
It's weird. It's very weird. Ugh.
Man,
He goes and dresses up in his full colors and stands in front of Arlington.
He goes to Arlington in like the middle of the night to salute his dead men, and I'm like, okay.
That is, yep.
It's quite the panel.
Yeah.
It's quite the page.
It's very pretty. It doesn't answer any of the questions that we have.
Well,
If anything, all it does is really just spark more questions.
He said earlier that he wasn't able to face his men and tell them anything because what can you tell them, that they died for nothing? And then Yamaoka basically convinces him, no, you tell them that they died for nothing, but that's motivating you to do something and make their lives meaningful. So he's basically saying, I'm sorry you died for American imperialism. Die instead to reform the world in the image of the UN with American imperialism.
Ugh. We're gonna blob like we're playing a grand strategy game.
Yeah. Uh-huh. So essentially, he then goes to a press conference and announces that he's going to support Yamaoka.
Yep.
And this is where we get the explanation of how the political parties work, which it's so depressing to me because the explanation for how the political parties work, it's like, man, that's really an oversimplification. No, that's really all it is anymore, isn't it? We end on something kind of anticlimactic compared to all of the rest of that.
Well, yes, because they have to go back to Seattle so that Yamaoka can visit his father, and Joe can visit his grandfather unknowingly. Unknowingly for the grandpa.
He keeps stealing glances towards Joe, though. I wonder if there's going to be some "I knew all along" moment.
The only thing that really stands out is as they're driving to the Yamaoka family home, someone has graffitied the wall outside their house with "Japs go home." And I'm like, oh, that's right. The anti-Japanese racism comes up after that cab driver.
Yeah.
Yep. After that one cab driver, there's still more of that, and it's like that's like in the middle of the text of like the narration box, which I think is also Joe just like doing an inner monologue about how, yes, I heard about this, and explaining basically Japanese immigration to Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
And
I appreciate a little bit of history and a little bit of like the significance.
Indeed. And Yamaoka's father was like, yes, my grandfather ran a grocery store and helped the other Japanese immigrants get good jobs, and we're deeply integrated into this city, and we're true Americans, and we're so happy that in just a few generations one of us is on the path to be president. Oh, this is just wonderful, Kenneth. Your brother would be so happy for you.
Your brother would be so proud of the new world order you want to build.
I'm still not convinced that there wasn't a death swap between the siblings.
But we get some pictures for our next antagonists. I don't want to say villains because I'm pretty sure everybody is a villain in this except maybe Joe.
Joe and Rachel.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if Yamaoka is trying to speed run getting assassinated.
He made a promise to Noah, okay?
Look, Noah, all we have to do is get elected, and then somebody's gonna sing Semper Tyrannis me, and then you're president.
And then you can establish the new world order.
Bully for you, old boy.
I
don't know why I made him British there at the end.
I'd say speak softly and carry a big stick, but there's nothing softly spoken about any of this.
Oh, that's why I went with the Britishism, because of the global imperialism. Oh god, this manga is something else. But this brings us to the end of our reading.
Alas.
Alas and alack. So, favorite character, favorite political bullshit that Yamaoka pulled. Oh man, I gotta say, Ellery is my favorite character.
Because, big shocker.
Holy shit, dude. The funniest thing I've ever read. As much as Yamaoka's New World Order is ridiculous and hysterical, the swerve of like the vice president pick is Albert Noah Jr. It's like I saw it coming from a mile away, but it was still so funny to see the shocked expressions of the entire cast. Like, how did none of you notice this? Oh, so those are my answers. Matt, how about you?
I gotta go with my favorite character in this being Noah. Just because he was such a good antagonist, and now he's just stuck in the riptide of being in the Yamaoka campaign. And just the line of like, stop sabotaging me, I'm on your team. And Yamaoka says, I understand. But what he basically says is, no, I don't wanna. He seems to continue to sabotage him.
I will not.
Then, Noah gets that great scene with those two industrial or military industrial complex guys and has to be like, no, you'll still be able to make money. You'll just have to compete with every country on earth unless we get a monopoly on it, which is also bad. I don't know. And then I guess my favorite political bullshit in this has to be Grobnik desperately wanting to talk with Joe and then just monologuing about why a minority can never be president without being assassinated.
That was out of pocket. Like, really?
Like, honestly, if I were Joe, feel a little threatened. Like,
yeah. What are you saying?
This old white guy just come up to you and go like, hey, I have plenty of minority friends. I'm just saying, when minorities get too full of themselves, they end up dead. But yeah, that was insane. That scene was insane.
Glad to share a burger with you. Jay, how about you? Favorite character, favorite political bullshit?
So my favorite character remains Yamaoka. Almost just because he's just a parody of what not to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he used to be a parody of like, I am President Man. I am every American president man. I'm great. And then it just went, like you said, just full Light Yagami. And I'm just like, I don't know what to do with this.
I don't think anybody knows what to do with Yamaoka at this point.
I guess I took a headline like full throttle. I just thought it was just going to be, minority underdog going to be the first Asian American president. Really solicit change. But no.
New World Order.
He's soliciting a lot of change, actually.
Yeah,
also weird. They did a whole thing about like the Americans are mostly white. They don't want a minority who doesn't look like them to run because they have different eyes. And what will those different eyes see when they're in charge of America? Obviously, they'll see imperialism and they want to be the land of the rising sun. What? If this wasn't a manga written by a Japanese person, I would like this feels weird in places.
Feels very weird. And Jacob.
Much as I'd like to name a fourth character because there were a lot of really great characters, I think I'm gonna say that Noah is also my favorite character because Noah maintained through this genuine insanity that the idea that he was an antagonist, not a villain, and in so doing, he there's a level of groundedness to him. Like I feel so sorry for him.
He's somehow the most normal guy here.
Favorite political bullshit moment. I mean, it has got to be because it took me so long to realize this. Like we were starting, it's like I'm flipping through the manga to refresh myself as we're about to start doing this review, and it was at that point when I realized it's gonna play like Yamaoka is threatening Maria to rescind her statement because no one can hear the phone call but the audience. The audience is supposed to take it the way it actually is, but there's no way anyone else would buy a word of it.
Yep. I would ask for plot predictions, but we're running a little low on time, and I don't know what the fuck could happen next.
Anything.
I'm betting Yamaoka's getting assassinated. Maybe even
they brought it
before
up like
he's
a billion times. It has to happen, right?
Or there will be an attempt, and the attempt fails, and that wins him the presidency. In fact, maybe even Grant gets so angry he like threatens to kill him, and Grant goes to jail.
Oh my
It'd be just
god!
a perfect world.
And then they have to fight him on the moon.
Using the UN New World Order army. In the Pola Cola War.
Grant moves to the moon and creates the new United States for the Lunar Civil War.
I also think at this point, I don't think we're going to get a satisfying conclusion to Joe's story.
The manga doesn't seem to care very much about it anymore.
Joe seemed to forgive Yamaoka in the Maria part, so I don't know. Especially when he won the candidacy, he was like, "Mother, do you see this? The man you love is going to be president." And I'm like, that is a weird... so you can now...
Don't you still think that he might have killed her? Because you call back to that.
He found out that his relationship with Rachel is no longer incest, so he doesn't care about anything anymore.
Oh, and would you continue reading? I don't think that's a question because we've only got one volume left, and we have one more 4th of July coming up.
Obviously.
Next year.
Oh, only one
American
more
duty.
4th of July.
I phrased that strangely. I'm not making any sort of predictions.
No. It's when that's when the New World Order kicks in. When we, the only people who read this manga, finish reading Eagle: The Making of an Asian American President, all of the sleeper agents will activate.
All of the UN psyop peacekeepers will activate like Order 66.
We thought that Bill and Ellery were the Sith Lords, but it was Yamaoka all along!
Activate Order 1776.
This manga is a Mandela effect that by reading it, we are forcing it into being.
Oh my gosh.
I'm crying.
Is this where we make the blood pact?
As always, if you enjoyed listening to this, and for some reason you listened to this one and not the 3 other episodes we have of Eagle, the Making of Amazing American President.
First, shame on you. But also second, go listen to those.
You can check out more of our episodes over MangaCast. You can check out more of our episodes at overmangacast.com. We appreciate reviews in any and all forms. We also love recommendations. No one's recommended this, but we don't care.
Yep.
What you're getting.
You can also catch up to our back episodes on YouTube. They're on a 2-week delay, but go over there, like, comment, subscribe, help us complete the ritual.
Post whoever you think the Clintons have killed in the comments.
Please don't. Please.
Oh, please. It'll be very. I like the engagement.
Stop covering for them, Sam.
I said it last time. I like my IP address the way it is. And you know what? After all this, I think we need something lighthearted. Let's do a comedy manga. Next time, we're going to read Pseudo Harem, chapters 1 through 50. Right, it's a gag manga. Chapters 1 through 50.
Yes.
That is the first 2 volumes. So
read that if you're keeping up with the show, and we'll see you all next Thursday. God bless America.
Good night, everybody. Vote Yamaoka, I guess.
Good night, everyone.
3, 7, 4, 2. You have been activated, Agent. Welcome to the New World Order.
La li lu lay low. La li lu lay low.